I think that would be the true definition of one plane swing that these guys talk about. Places, it could help eliminate a specific miss. You want the shaft to be on the same plane as the arm. You know, he raised the handle from about here to about here. That's like almost 20, 30 degrees worth of raising. What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to your channel. In this particular video, we will be reacting to another YouTube golf instructor. This is going to be Todd Graves. He teaches the single plane golf swing, very similar to, I guess you could say, Bryson DeChambeau, and more notably, Todd Graves is kind of under the camp of Mo Norman. So if you're interested in the single plane golf swing, this is the perfect video for you. Let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is KiwiGolf Japan. If you did not know, YouTube definitely does not pay the bills. So if you want to help support this YouTube channel after the video is over, there will be a link down below. Go ahead and click on that. Sign up for a Kiwi Platinum membership site. Not only are you going to help support this YouTube channel, you'll get access to over 330 videos on the site currently, and we update right around 20 videos every single month. Check it out and let's jump in.
Hey, it's Todd Graves. You know, I don't believe in secrets. However, I do believe in biomechanics and putting your body in the most efficient positions possible. That's exactly what Bryson DeChambeau is doing, and Mo Norman, the greatest ball striker that ever lived. Today, I'm going to talk about the biomechanics of simplicity. I'm going to eliminate variables and make you a better ball striker.
All right, let's stop it there. So to give you some context about the video that you're about to watch, this is again Todd Graves. He teaches the single plane golf swing. He was inspired by Mo Norman. He actually spent quite a lot of time with Mo Norman, learning the swing from him. And then now he basically teaches the one plane swing to a bunch of different golfers. So what they're specifically talking about in this particular video is going to be one of the most important variable reduction motions or setup positions that Todd Graves thinks that Bryson DeChambeau and Mo Norman have that you guys probably haven't thought about. So let's go ahead and get to some of the major points first. Once we start to get past those points and I react to them, I do have some very important information when it comes to the single plane golf swing. I don't think it actually exists. So we'll get to that part at the very end of the video. But for now, let's go hop into his points and I'll start to react to them.
Hey, you know, I don't believe there's secrets to the golf swing, but I do believe that there are positions you can put your body that eliminate variables. What I mean by that is the golf swing's moving quickly. You're moving your body rotationally. Can you put your body in a way which has less chances of having variability? Let me give you some examples.
All right, let's stop it here. So this is definitely a very popular topic at this current time, just because, you know, Bryson DeChambeau has become so popular, kind of talking about this in-range of motion or eliminating variables. And for the most part, you know, I really agree with it. I think that trying to eliminate a lot of the variables that amateur golfers have at their golf swing is great, because amateur golfers typically are notoriously known for having too many moving parts. To give an example of that, let's say on the takeaway, the club head moves too far inside, then it moves too close to head, then it moves way behind the hands, then it moves right out towards the golf ball, right? That would be wobbliness. You have quite a large range of motion that the club head is traveling through that section I just discussed, and that would be kind of variables that you would want to eliminate. So what Todd is about to talk about here is he's going to be talking about how can I set up my body in certain positions, how can I move my body to where I'm actually going to eliminate those variables by placing the body at in-range motion positions so that I can then eliminate those variables. Let's get to some of the major points.
Examples here, and this is exactly what Bryson DeChambeau is showing the golf world right now with his single plane swing. I get asked the question about Bryson quite often, and the question is there anybody on tour that swings like Mo? Well, Bryson DeChambeau is very similar to Mo Norman.
Let's up it here. So I think a little bit later in the video, we're going to come back to the specific timestamp, so right around 139, and I'm going to break down the two swings because actually I do think they're quite different. Now, I do think the setup is going to be relatively similar, but I do think overall the swings are quite different. And I do argue as well, both these players are not swinging on a single plane, which again, we're going to get into a little bit later in this video, but I don't want to take away from his parts because I do think there's some really interesting, valuable parts. Let's get to those.
Norman. There's a lot of things that are great about his swing that I love, and there's a few differences, but there's the main variable that both Bryson and Mo have in common might be the most important thing to help you with your ball striking and eliminating a variable. And Bryson talks about this when you listen to him talk about his golf swing. But let me go into it, and I'm going to show you the science of this just a little bit based in biomechanics. Now, one of the things that I believe in and I love about Mo Norman's golf swing and Bryson's swing is how they've eliminated some of the variables when you get to the moment of impact. But I want to
All right, let's stop it here. So let's maybe explain what he's talking about there. So when you eliminate variables when it comes to impact, you see a red line that's drawn here, so that you could call this the original shaft line. So at setup, they draw a line through the hosel of the club straight up at an angle. That would be the original shaft line. So part of this is, as you get back into impact, you can note that the shaft is very close to being on that original shaft line. I think that would be the true definition of one plane swing that these guys talk about, which I'm going to break down a little bit later in this video. But also more notably is, what are they doing with their body positions, moving it into in-range of motion positions to be able to get to this position more consistently is more so Todd's main point, right? So let's jump ahead till we start to get to those points.
I want to show you some simple things about your body here that explain exactly what Mo figured out.
I feel like he said this like 3 times. Just get to the point.
And what Bryson is bringing to the golf world right now in the way he displays his golf swing. The first thing is, let's just talk about range of motion. Now, if you talk about the position of the body, what I always discuss is how can I put my body in a place where it limits the range of motion. I'll give you a quick example, and you know that I teach this.
Okay, maybe I should just stop it here. So let me explain range of motion. So let's simply just take my arm right here, kind of this elbow joint. If I go all the way here, that would be the in range of motion that my elbow can move in this position, right? If I go any more, I'm gonna break my arm. I don't wanna do that, right? Kiwi Coach wants this arm to play some golf a little bit longer. So that would be the in range of motion. And then when it comes to the range of motion, it's really the arm can or the elbow joint can go from this position, maybe this angle right around here is maybe the in range of motion on the other side, all the way to here, this is the other in range of motion. So that would be the range of motion for that particular body joint. So what he's gonna start to discuss is, in terms of the Bryson DeChambeau more Norman kind of model of swing, what are the most important in range of motion variables or body parts that you should be focusing? That's what he's going into right now.
Is that when the lead knee is flexed and the foot is down, it limits the range of motion of the pelvis.
And actually, I apologize. I don't think this will be one of his major points, but I don't think this is the first major point that he really wants to go over. He's actually going to talk about setup, but let's just play this through anyways, just so you guys can hear this, because I think this will be another one of his major points a little bit later. But let's continue here.
That's right. So just by doing that, I've created a limit. Well, why are these limits so important? Well, if I create a limit, doesn't that reduce variability? For example, if I lift my foot, that increases how much my body can move. If I straighten my leg, it increases how much my body can move.
And specifically when he's talking about how much his body can move, he's talking about the amount of pelvis rotation and then in turn the rib cage rotation, because the rib cage is attached to the pelvis, so the pelvis can rotate more. The rib cage can also kind of follow along, right? So what he's talking about there is, when it comes to kind of in range of motion, specifically around impact, if you can keep this lead knee flex at a specific angle, it's going to limit the amount of pelvis rotation, more so in an opening, so kind of opening relative to the target line. And that's going to potentially eliminate variables. Again, this is his opinion, not mine, but that's exactly what he's talking about right there.
Move. So if I can put the body into a limitation, then I can become more consistent. That makes a lot of sense, right?
This I agree with the correct context, right? So relative to kind of what your typical issue is and what you're struggling with, if you can put the body in certain places, it could help eliminate a specific miss. Now, I'm under the camp that completely eliminating a specific miss might not always be the best case. It could be helpful for a specific player who's had a chronic issue for a long period of time, just so they can see the opposite, but maybe long term that might not be the best approach. But again, within context, I heavily agree with the statement that he just said.
Right? But one of the things that Bryson and Mo did had to do with the lead wrist and lead arm. And this is...
Okay, so this is the major point of the video, right? So he's talking about specifically setup and what they're doing with the lead arm, where it's kind of rotated, as well as kind of the shoulder as well, and then also kind of what is the wrist set in what fashion. This will be a really interesting point of the video. Let's get into it.
It's really, really important. By the way, this is probably, if you ask me, the thing that really makes them almost exactly the same. Let's go into it. Now, this is called radial deviation. This is when the wrist moves this direction. This is ulnar deviation, when the hand moves that direction.
Okay, so he's just giving you a few kind of terminologies that he'll be using just so it's easier for you guys to understand. So if you think about like an upper cocking motion, that would be the radial deviation. If you think about like a down cocking motion, that would be the ulnar deviation. Let's go forward.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple things about your body position. And this goes to your conventional golf swing. So if you're one of those guys out there that's a conventional golfer, you're going to see this and go, Well, I wonder why that's actually going on. So what happens is the conventional golf swing has taught the two plane address. Let me go into that just a little bit here for a second. Two planes is where they teach you to hang the arms below the shoulders, and the arms are hanging down at some level, and then the club is on a secondary plane.
Stop it there. So I think you guys get the point, but let me just reiterate real quick. So you can see kind of the arm plane is going to be on this angle, the shaft plane is going to be on this angle. That would be two separate planes. So the whole theory is if at impact, which this is again under his theory, but if at impact you want the shaft to be on the same plane as the arm, if you want that to occur, then why would you set up with this two-plane concept, right? That's what he's about to bring up. Again, not particularly my opinion on what should happen, but this is his opinion.
Right? And that's the way golf is taught. The problem with that from a variability standpoint is, number one, that when you swing this club, it's going to try to create a single plane with the arms. However, there's more to it than that.
Let me explain that to you, so some of you guys might be confused, and this is actually something I agree with as well. So as you're swinging the club, essentially what happens is the club head is going to start to want to move down on the downswing. The hands are going to start to want to kind of raise. So eventually the shaft and the arm will be on the same plane. Now, what instructors kind of debate about is when should that be, right? Everyone kind of agrees that that should occur, except for, guys like Todd Graves, or more so that single plane type of instructors, they think that should happen at impact, right? So the shaft and the arm plane should be pretty close to each other or on that one plane at impact, where you would say more traditional instructors, they want that to occur, but much later post-impact, right? So that's kind of the debate. So I'm going to get into kind of my opinions again, like I said, at the end of the video on this whole thing, but let's continue.
What's happening is you've put this lead wrist into a radial deviated position.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube, but before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So now, on the membership version of this video, I gave you my full breakdown opinion on what I think about the single plane golf swing and is it true or is it not. But for you guys on YouTube, you guys are going to have to sign up for the membership site to see that whole version, but I will give you a little bit of a clip from it, and I will give you a little bit of kind of what I broke down there. So if you take a look at this camera lid that I got right here, if I kind of twist it this way, this would be perpendicular to the ground, so like a 90-degree plane. If I twist it this way, this would be parallel to the ground, so it'd be a 0-degree plane. Typically, drivers are right around 45 degrees. So what happens here, that creates a 45-degree plane. Now, if that 45-degree plane has then been risen, I would classify that as not being on a single plane, right? You have risen the plane more vertical, so it's on a different plane than where it was at address. If you lower it, same thing, you're on a different plane than it was at address. If you twist it a little bit more horizontal or a little bit more vertical, those would also be different planes than it was at address. So keeping that information in mind, go take a look at Todd's golf swing, go take a look at Mo Norman's golf swing, and go take a look at Bryson DeChambeau's golf swing and tell me, are those players actually swinging on a one plane with the definition that I just gave you guys? If they are, well, comment down below, let me know. If they're not, also comment down and let me know below. Other than that, what I want you guys to go ahead and do is make sure to sign up for that Kiwi Platinum membership site. It really helps support this YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.